Welcome to Chapter 6, Part 2, looking at the Constitution. We're just going to fill in these notes because there's a lot of content here that we don't need to write down, so I'm going to have you just kind of fill in the blanks, but just kind of listen to the explanation of what we're doing here. So, first things first, our first attempt at a government, remember the mnemonic of the canoe, the Articles of Confederation. Our first attempt at a government, but that canoe was leaky. It had a lot of weaknesses in it, a lot of flaws, but the Articles of Confederation, that was our first attempt at a government. Because of several faults with it, the Founding Fathers met in this place, Philly, the city of brotherly love, in 1787. And we have a little rhyme for that. 1787, 27th of May, state delegates met in Philly, PA. And they're meeting to discuss the articles and the fact that they are so weak. So, do you change them or do you just get rid of them? Well, at the Constitutional Convention of 1787, the delegates decided not to revise the Articles and to just throw it out, crumple it up, and write a new Constitution. Now, the only guy that everyone trusted when it came time to lead the convention was this guy right here. Now, if you ever see a painting that looks kind of like that, and you're not sure which one is which, you'll notice that this guy is not in this painting, because this guy is off fighting the war, while these guys are writing the breakup note. This is the Declaration of Independence. This is the Constitutional Convention. So who is that guy? That's George Washington. Not the President of the United States yet. There is no president. As you remember from the articles, there is no executive branch. There is no president. He's president of the convention. He's the guy leading the discussion. Ben Franklin is there as well. But Ben, at this time, is getting pretty old, and he's just kind of there to watch. He's not as vital a part of this. The big dog is, we'll look up later on. So, the big issue of the time is one of representation. So I'm just going to look at four states as an example. They all would be sending people to the this new government. So they all want representation. That the war was fought because they had no representation in Parliament. So they're big on representation. But if you look at these numbers show you. Let's take out the distracting numbers. So this is their population around 1790. Rhode Island, right here, 68,000 people. Virginia, 747,000. South Carolina, 250,000. New Jersey, about 180,000. So, would it be fair for all of them to get the same vote? One vote for Rhode Island, one for New Jersey, one for Virginia, and one for South Carolina. That doesn't seem very fair, unless you're Rhode Island, in which case it's very fair. So, the problem is one of how large and small states should be represented in the new government. Now I'm going to show you something else that you don't have to know, but it'll help you if you can keep it in your brain for high school. If I took out all the slaves that were in these states, if I didn't count the slaves, then South Carolina actually has fewer than New Jersey. So New Jersey has less than South Carolina if you count the slaves. But obviously it doesn't seem fair to count the slaves because nobody is trying to represent the interests of slaves, otherwise they'd free the slaves. So if you're in New Jersey, you're thinking, wait a minute, how come South Carolina, if I don't count their slaves, then New Jersey has more people than South Carolina. If you do count the slaves, then South Carolina has more people. So that's another issue that they're going to debate, and it looks a little bit like this. If I take a little graph of the issue of slavery, how that fits into this, these columns show you the total number of people in each region: New England, Mid-Atlantic, Southern. Obviously, the South has a lot of people. But if I don't count the slaves, and there aren't many slaves in the Mid-Atlantic, not many slaves in New England, then we end up with a little bit more even population. So that's going to be another issue that we won't deal with in this class. When you get into high school, that becomes something that we have to look at as well. But it does give you a sense of the tension that's going to be leading up to the Civil War. Hint, hint. Spoiler alert. The structure of the new government was proposed by this man, and that is James Madison. He is called the father of the Constitution. Daddy. Wah. There. So, we know James Madison as the father of the Constitution. The Constitution is based on his Virginia plan. So his Virginia plan, because that's where he's from. It's got 3 separate branches: legislative, judicial, executive. Judicial and executive, I'm showing them as my little superheroes here. And the legislative, shown with the guy with the pens, because he writes the law. This guy over here, he enforces the law, and he judges the law. That's why he has the scales. The Constitution would not have been signed if it had not been for the... Now, this is a huge issue. This gets back to the Rhode Island versus Virginia thing. How to have representation. So, this dude here being split into 2 sides. These are 2 houses. And it's also sometimes referred to as bi, which means 2. Cameral, which looks like camera because that's what it means. Camera means chamber. Whoops, sorry. Chamber. Chamber means camera. So that little thing that takes pictures is a chamber, a box. These are bicameral, means 2 boxes, 2 houses. So, one of those is the Senate, and this is called the Great Compromise, and the other one is the House. In the House, okay, there we go. In the House, you get more peeps. Peeps, get it? More peeps, more votes. In the Senate, everyone gets 2. It's equal. Everyone's the same. This is the Great Compromise, because it's awesome and big. Constitution provides for a system of checks. There goes the bell. Checks. Check, 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 check. And balances, like a little scale. So, little scale. So checks and balances. Good pictures to write down. This makes sure, checks and balances. This makes sure that no one branch is too powerful. This makes sure no one branch is too powerful. Constitution was signed in 1787, that same year. September 17 of that same year, everyone was happy to hear. The Constitution was signed in 1787. However, for it to become law, 9 out of the 13 states had to vote in favor of it. As you can see, though, from this little cartoon someone drew at the time, if if you kind of miss any of those colonies, things can fall apart. So it wasn't just about getting just 9, but if you can get 9, that's all it took to officially make it the law of the land. But you wanted the support of everybody. There was much debate over it. The debate called for a bill of. Now, a bill just means a list of things. So when you're at a restaurant, a bill is a list of what you bought. A Bill of Rights is a list of your rights. And everyone was concerned that the Constitution, if someone violated it, if the president became too powerful, if Congress became too powerful, what would protect the people? So this acts kind of like the shield that protects you if Congress gets off the leash. So this is the Bill of Rights. It's kind of like the first update. Like when you get a new Angry Birds update with new levels, this is like update, the first 10 updates to our government, the first 10 amendments. Now, the 11th Amendment and on, we don't call that the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments, the first 10 changes that we made. Who was the author of the Bill of Rights? That big dog, the mad plan, James Madison. The Bill of Rights contains the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. This document has been, many people still, when they're writing their government's rule book, they look to this as a model for how to do it. It's a good design, a good system of checks and balances, and it continues to be the rule book we use to this day. All right, next time we'll look at the Bill of Rights and some of those rights. Have a good day.